All right, good evening, Corona Daze Professional Development Group. It's me, Danette Edwards. I'm here this evening with Melanie Denny. I'm just waiting for the confirmation that we are live. I believe we are. And I'm going to give myself a moment to be sure. Melanie, do you see anything that says live on your screen?
Yeah, in
Okay,
Zoom it
perfect.
says
We
it's webinar now streaming live on
we are now streaming live. All right, so let me hit record. And I'm recording. All right. Good evening, Corona Daze Professional Development Group. It's me, Danette Edwards. I'm here this evening with Melanie Denny, who has graciously agreed to give us this presentation on salary negotiation. We've been waiting for it for a very long time. It was one of the first things that everyone in Corona Daze Professional Development said that they wanted. And if you just give me a moment, I want to give you some information about Miss Denny. And of course, I lost her whole bio was right in front of me 2 seconds ago. Oh, it's me. It's me, you guys. You know how I do it. But I thank everyone for joining. I thank the people who are in the Zoom chat room with us. If you can all just tell us where you're logging on from, as I am going to tell you this. And then just a little housekeeping for tonight. Melanie loves to have an interactive presentation. So she has asked that you guys drop your questions as she's talking, and so that we can, she can interact with you throughout the presentation, and that we don't just have a dedicated Q&A. So please drop your questions and comments in Facebook and into the Zoom so that you can interact with Melanie Denny. Okay. So let me tell you a little bit about Ms. Denny. Melanie Denny is an award-winning resume expert, nationally certified LinkedIn strategist, and president of Resume Evolution. Her never settle for less attitude inspires her clients to realize their true value and exude the confidence they need to secure high-paying salaries they deserve. Her clients have seen remarkable job search success and salary increases to the tune of $15K to $50K. I love it. As a result of her ability to not only concisely articulate their value on paper, but her empowering approach to self-marketing. I am going to immediately turn it over to Melanie Denny. I'm going to mute myself. Denny, if I left anything out, please add it.
Thank you for the warm welcome.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. I have slides, so I'm going to share my screen, and so I want to confirm that you guys are going to be able to see. So, oops, that's not what I'm trying to do. Share, okay. And I want to do.
Yes, we can see it.
Oh, perfect.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. So I'm here to talk about a very popular topic that a lot of people need a lot of help with, and that is negotiating a higher salary. And I'm going to talk about doing it even in the midst of the pandemic that we're in, because people are negotiating higher salaries. A lot of my clients are definitely doing that. And so don't think that it can't be done. Okay. So let's dive in. We have a lot to cover tonight. And please, as Danette mentioned, fire off those questions if they come up. I love to interact when I'm presenting because I don't like feeling like I'm talking to nobody. So please keep the questions going. All right, so a little bit more about me. As she said, I am an award-winning resume expert. I'm also certified in resume writing. I am certified in LinkedIn as well. I'm the president of Resume Evolution, and we provide LinkedIn resumes, cover letters, self-marketing tools to help people that are ready to level up. That's my sweet spot. So I love people who come to me saying, I'm ready for that next level. So I'm also the founder of the Society of Elite Resume Writers. Basically, these are up and coming writers that want to be better at writing resumes and serving their clients and building their business. I'm also a former board member of the National Resume Writers Association. I'm an author, a speaker, of course. And I've been, my work has been featured in several books, and I've been quoted in several media outlets as well. So I do this, like, this is my full-time thing. And so I love all of it, because I want people to feel empowered. And a lot of times in job search and careers, we just feel like, oh, I just go to work and go home. It's so much more to it than that. And it's about really understanding your value, what you're bringing to the table. And so tonight, I'm going to really focus in on how you can position yourself. How you can position yourself for those raises and those salary increases that Danette mentioned from my bio. And I want to talk about as well where the negotiations really start. Okay. And then I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret that employers don't want you to know as well. So, again, we have a lot to cover. And so please make sure if you have questions, pop in, let me know, interrupt me, pop them in the chat, and I'll address them as they come. All right, so let's start. Where do negotiations start? A lot of people believe negotiations start when they ask that dreaded question, right? What are your salary expectations? And the reality is, the negotiations actually start when you submit your application, right? And I'm gonna go dig a little deeper into that because we think once we hit that question and we're at the table with the offer, that's where we start to, negotiate and try to sway them to give you more money. But it really starts in the very beginning when you first apply to that position. Here's the thing. You want to make sure that you are already positioning yourself as an expensive candidate, right? You want to be a high value potential employee. And that starts in your application, in your resume. It starts in your LinkedIn profile. It starts in the things that you talk about in your cover letter, right? It also infuses into the interview itself. So this whole time you're selling yourself and you're positioning yourself for these higher level salaries, and it doesn't start when they ask the question. Okay. So think about, okay, how can I position myself from the beginning? And I'm going to kind of show you your resume. And all of these things are also relevant to the cover letter, to your LinkedIn profile, to the way you answer your questions in the interview, to what you say when you're networking for career opportunities, etc. Right? The first thing you want to do is make sure that your resume portrays your value. What do I mean by value? Right? Outcomes. You want to show how you impact the business, how you are able to translate your skills into something that is of a benefit to the organization, right? And so when your resume is very task oriented, then you don't come off as someone that we need to pay a lot of money to because you're just a doer, right? But if you portray your value and show the impact that you've made on the organization, then you're expensive, right? Employers want to pay for that value because to them it's worth it. So if you are a salesperson and your resume talks about, I do sales calls, I do cold calls, um, but not saying I generate $2 million annually for my corporation, they're not going to see how valuable you are. Does that make sense? So think about things in terms of outcomes. So that's generating revenue, that's growing a client base, that's saving money, that's improving processes, which translates into productivity increases. That's valuable. And so when you're putting forth those things, you already coming to the table as someone that's worth more. Okay. And all of these strategies is what I do for my clients as it relates to resume writing so that they can position themselves for the 15 to 50K increase. Okay. So again, make sure that you're already putting yourself at a place where you're going to be worth more. Okay. The other thing, it has to look good, right? When you take a look at something, you already passed judgment on it. I don't care what it is, right? Whether it be a house, the curb appeal matters. A book you pick up, the cover matters. Same thing with your resume, right? So before they read a word, they've already kind of judged, oh, this person looks entry level. Oh, this is boring. Oh, just another resume. You want to look expensive. You want to look like you're worth a lot of money on paper. And that goes into some of the formatting, make it modern, make it professional, add a splash of color, right? And then make sure that people are drawn to it and not bored with it, right? So you want to make it look good. That's another part of the resume as well. It plays a part, okay? Demonstrate leadership. Again, I really love catering to folks ready to level up. And a lot of times they're in leadership or looking to move into leadership. So if your resume is not demonstrating your leadership, right, you may not be as valuable. And so how you do that is you highlight anytime you took initiative to do anything, you highlight how you've influenced others around you to do things, you show how you have implemented some type of change, you show how people rally around you and you can turn things around, right? Demonstrate that leadership because employers are looking for good leaders and they are willing to pay for people to come in and lead, right? Leading departments, leading groups, that's going to be valuable as well. So showcase your leadership in the resume and throughout the LinkedIn and all of that. Another thing you want to do is differentiate yourself, right? What makes you unique? What makes you special? What makes you different? What makes you the one? I mentioned sales before. And honestly, if you're a good salesperson, you're going to have some level of stats on your resume, hopefully, right? And so across the board, looking at all the salespeople, they are going to have great accolades in terms of, being very fruitful in their efforts, generating some money, growing the portfolio, growing the client base, etc. But now, what makes this salesperson stand out? And it depends on you. And this is something that a lot of people don't even think about, but everyone has something special that they're bringing to the table. Everyone. I don't care what job you have, I don't care what you do. There's something unique about you, the way you do things. Maybe you're bringing a special, different perspective. Maybe you're able to speak several languages. Maybe you are someone who deals internationally, so you have the global aspect to things. It could be anything. But knowing and having that specialty is going to raise your paycheck because people pay for expertise and specialty, something different, something unique that's valuable, right? So all the while, you are building the case for people as to, wow, you know what? I wonder how much I'm going to have to pay this person because he or she is really, really valuable. Like we want her, but hopefully she'll take, right? They're already thinking that way because you're positioning yourself as someone who's worth more. All right. Um, we got some things in the chat. Hold
Melanie, do you want me to read them to you or you want to read them out loud? How do you want to do this? However you want to do it, I'm down.
on. You can interrupt and read them to me because I'm not seeing the pop-ups.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we have a few here. So the first one is from Lois Thomas. She says, is this presentation being recorded and will it be available? Yes, this presentation is being recorded. It will be available in Corona Daze Professional Development in our group, in our Facebook group, which if you're on the Zoom, you'll get that link for that. And it will also be available on our YouTube channel by tomorrow morning. So that was the easy one. That was the first one. Then Bill Burke says, will this presentation touch on negotiating salary increase upon your review, especially during these times while the company has also been actively cutting jobs? Okay. And then Oz Volk says, so quantify. And I'm assuming she was responding to when you were saying about numbers on your in your resume.
Yes, definitely quantify numbers for sure. Numbers for sure. Um, and regarding the question about review, yes, it's mostly going to be about new job, but a lot of this can translate into reviews, and I'm going to talk about both of them. Now, in terms of right now, with the whole pandemic happening, two things I want you guys to recognize is thing one, if companies are cutting, that doesn't mean there's no money. It means they're preserving the money in most cases. Little small businesses, that's a little bit different. I'm more talking about bigger corporations that are more stable, right? If you work for a small family business or mom and pop, yeah, there may be, a true lack of funding. But when you're working for a company that is very well established and they have a good cash flow, okay, let me turn this off because I'm gonna just be okay. So, um, where was I? Oh, so in bigger corporations, it's very noble of you guys to be thinking like, oh well, there may not be any money, so I want to be thoughtful and think about the company at this time. So I'm not gonna ask right now. They don't think about you when they make business decisions. These are business decisions, and you have to think about your career as a business as well. And if you feel like it's time for me to get a raise, you need to come and I'll show you some things that you need to come prepared with and ask for what you deserve. And in the midst of the pandemic, here are a couple of things that I wanted to point out as well. Yes, I'm talking about making sure that you're showing your value, et cetera. And this is again mostly for if you're applying. But if you're working somewhere currently and you don't want to leave and you want to raise, you're going to have to show how you've been successful in your current position with numbers, quantifiables, proof, case studies, whatever proof you have. So it's laid out in black and white. And you're going to need um, to be able to show how you're going to help the business in the future. Because right now, everything is so unknown, right? So, you as an employee, yes, you've been doing well, you've been doing good. And hopefully, in the midst of the pandemic so far, you've shown something of value that you will continue to show if you get the raise, right? And so you have to really think about not just, oh, I do my job and I do it well. Oh, I've been here 2 years, so I deserve a raise. It's about how am I adding value, especially in these times. Hey, since the pandemic hit, I haven't missed my quotas. And I think that's important. And I think moving forward is going to be important for you as well, because I'm keeping the money flowing. Even since March, when the pandemic hit, I generated X amount of dollars. That alone should be worth an extra 5K in my salary. Would you agree? Right? So just making the proof real and not just fluffy, fluffy. I want to raise. Can I? Well, I don't want to ask because everybody's broke or they're cutting people. No, it's about asking when you have something of value and asking and showing that you have something of value. Hopefully that answered your question.
Like that, Melanie. I have a yeah, because I think I don't know if you're going to speak to this. This is my question, but I also have a question from someone else or my statement. Maybe you'll talk on this. I think
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes when we're working, we believe that we're doing such a bang up job that people know our value.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know if you're going to talk about that as this goes on, but that's just one of the things that I fell into that trap, that everybody knows what I'm doing. They see what I'm doing. I'm doing such an excellent job that I shouldn't even have to ask one. And when I do, they better just give it to me. And I
Mm.
had my feelings hurt with that once, and that was once, never
Yeah.
happened again, but once.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes to all of that. And again, it's business. This is not
Yeah.
about feelings. This is not about how you feel. You feel like you're doing a good job. Your
Mhm.
coworkers are like, hey, girl, you're doing good, girl. It's not about any of that. It's about the results that you generate, the business impact, the value. And bringing that to the table, it's hard for them to say, yeah, you showed us all that, but still no. Right?
Yeah.
It's harder for them to say no when you come ready and prepared. And I'm going to go through some things to help you get ready and prepared.
Okay, and then I have another question here
Mhm.
from Stacy Haynes,
Mhm.
and she says, I've had difficulty finding true salaries for the next level in my profession. Where is the best source of truth so that I do not undersell myself? I think that's a great question, Stacy.
Yeah, I have information coming up for that.
Okay, okay, perfect. All right, that's all I have right now. I'm gonna look on Facebook, but I'm gonna let you go ahead, Melanie.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is the thing, the little secret that employers don't want you to know. Okay, and somehow we've been brainwashed to believe things that are not true. So let me just give it to y'all. Here are some statistics as I, made sure I come right, showing you some facts, proof, metrics, numbers, and not just talking fluff, right? 84% of employers said in a study, and I have the link at the bottom if you want to fact check me, that they always expect applicants to negotiate the salary during the interview. 84% always expect a negotiation, right? They expect a negotiation. So 87% also said they've never rescinded a job offer following negotiation. So if the fear is that, well, I'm gonna look greedy and they're gonna take the job away, whoop, there goes that, right? 87% said they've never took it away just because they asked for more money. So, okay, I'm gonna keep going before. Zero, 0% of employers said that demoting or firing, I'm sorry, 0% of employers reported that they have demoted or fired an employee just for asking for a raise. So what's the fear? What's the fear for asking for the money, right? They're not going to fire you. They're not going to demote you just because you said, hey, can I get a raise? So let's ask. If you don't ask, the answer is always no. Look at this. Less than 40% of workers negotiated their salary during their last job offer. When 84% of employers expect a negotiation, less than 40% are actually negotiating. There's a big, big mismatch going on. And so I wanted to bring that to light because they don't really want you to know, hey, it's okay to negotiate. Because guess what? They want to spend as least amount of money as possible. So they're going to lowball you more than likely. And if you don't ask, the answer is going to be no. So we need to ask more. Okay. 60% of women said they've never negotiated their salary. That number is too high for me. I don't like it. 60% of women have never negotiated their salary. Why not, ladies? Why not? I want you guys to say this out loud. I want you to type it in the comments. I will never take the first offer. Say it. Say it out loud. Write it out in the chat. I will never take the first offer. Okay? I will never take the first offer because they expect negotiations. So let me ask you a question. Thank you. I will never take the first offer. If they expect negotiations, right? What do you think they're offering you? Top bar? If they expect you to negotiate with you, why would they give you the top bar to start? They won't. They won't. They'll start you somewhere down here, bottom, because they expect negotiation. I will never take the first offer. Yes. Empowerment, baby. This is what it's all about. Okay. So let's move on now that I've drilled that into you.
Melanie, before you
Yes.
move on, can I bring you some Facebook questions?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so let me just toggle over there for a moment. So it says, okay, so you said we need to outline our value and demonstrate with solid evidence how we are benefiting the company. But how many jobs are willing to increase the salary during this pandemic? Oh, she talked a little about that. I also want to say, and I don't want to say it wrong, Melanie, but your background is primarily with corporate, right?
Yes.
Private sector corporate, not necessarily government and nonprofit, right?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So a lot of this information, guys, is stuff that you can take into a nonprofit in a government setting, but we all know that there are different rules in there. But this is primarily for a private sector. She's dealing with corporate crime. Of course, she's dealing with corporate clients when she can get somebody a $50,000 pay increase, right? And not a government. But a lot of this you can bring over to that sector. Okay, and then let me just find the other question we had here from Facebook is let's see. Oh, I saw one from Brandy. It says something about she liked. I'm sorry, I lost it. Like she liked that demonstrate leadership, and I would ask you to elaborate on that at some point again about demonstrating leadership on your resume.
Okay.
Okay, Melanie. All right, I'm gonna leave it alone now
Okay, cool.
and throw it back to
Yeah.
you.
And this is kind of general information, but depending on what's actually going on in your corporation or because if the company is hiring, they got money. There's money, right? If you're at a company and they're struggling or they're taking a hard hit, again, depending on their financial strength, etc., you know, you still have to ask though. You still have to ask and position yourself again to say, hey, I can actually help you to preserve money or to make more money or, save money, etc., based on the things I've done. Look at what I've been doing even since the pandemic started. So taking that approach will definitely give you a leg up versus saying, well, I'm not going to ask because they're laying people off, right? So that's where I'm kind of going with that. All right. So you got to make sure you do some research. Oops.
Sorry, Melanie.
Yeah.
I just want to say I was in an organization, some of my old staff are in here on it, and we laid off 550 people.
Mm-hmm.
I gave somebody a directorship with a $35,000 pay increase
Mm-hmm.
about a month and a half after,
Yeah.
while we were still laying people off. Okay, 550 people in 3 countries. So
There you go.
yeah, that is true. That is exactly true what Melanie just said.
There
Okay.
you
All right, I'm gonna leave it alone now.
Okay. I appreciate the right because again, I don't like to feel like I'm by myself, so it's fine. It's rough. Hey, say what you have to say. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's case in point. So anyway, you're gonna come to the negotiation table not with your own little thoughts, but about researching because you want this to be based on facts. You don't want this to be based on, well, I would love a $10,000 raise, so I'm gonna just ask for that. Or I would love to get paid this amount of money. That'd be great. So I'm gonna ask for that, right? Because then you get a little crazy and coming out with numbers that make no sense. So you have to do your research. And someone asked about this earlier. So there are three sites that I recommend for doing this research: PayScale, Glassdoor, LinkedIn. Also, I want to say as well as a quick note is tap into your network, right? If you know people that work places, people that you may know that works in HR, they kind of know what the going rates are as well. Don't be scared to reach out and say, hey, I'm looking at this position. Do you have any idea of the pay range for that? And people, don't tell you. If it's not their salary, they would probably be more open to tell you. So don't be afraid to ask real people as well. So PayScale is my favorite site for this stuff. PayScale, you can do a salary survey based on your situation. So if you have a job that you're currently in and you feel like you're being underpaid, you could go to PayScale and get some more information about what you should be getting paid. Job offer, if you have an offer on the table and you want to kind of see if that's fair, or you're just exploring and you want to see, okay, if I were to switch careers right now, right, what would that look like? The thing I love about this is not just a quick click, oh, this is the number. They literally ask you all type of questions to really gather the right data. They're asking about your education, what degrees you have, what certifications you have, your geographical location, your number of years experience, job title. I mean, everything. And it comes back with a full report. And you're going to have that data based on your industry and everything. And so it's a great place to start to just, okay, let's see where we stand, where I stand, where the industry stand, where the market is, etc. And now you're going to have real numbers to work with, right? And this is very, very helpful because you can say, based on my research, hell, you can even probably print out the report and bring it to your boss in addition to all your other things and say, well, the research I did, right? So do this research because as business owners and business leaders, they can't deny the stuff, the numbers. They can't deny the stats in the data. So definitely it positions you to have a stronger negotiating power when you have done this research. Another place is Glassdoor. I remember when I wasn't really starting out, but earlier in my resume writing career, business wasn't flowing like I wanted. And so I applied for a resume writing position at a company. And I was like, damn, I wonder what they're paying. Glassdoor.com. I literally typed in the company, right? So in this example, I had typed up PepsiCo just for purposes of sharing. And you see under here, you have tons of things to look at. So reviews are important. And that's a little bit different topic, but you could see what people say about the company. Like people actually put the reviews good or bad. The jobs they have, but the salaries, they literally tell you what each position gets paid at that specific company. The data is out here. Now, not each and every single company on the planet is here, but a lot of thousands of companies' data is in here. So you could go on Glassdoor and check out salaries. And when I did it for the resume gig, I was like, oh, that's what y'all paying? Cool. So I got on an interview and he's like, well, what do you want to get paid? I said, this amount. He's like, oh, that's great. That's perfect. That's what we pay. And it was easy because I already knew what they paid. Right. And so, and I didn't negotiate. Don't do that. But it's just having the data is very, very powerful. Right. So get the data. All right. And then they also, under interviews, they also give you the interview questions that are being asked based on the role as well. So Glassdoor, another one of my favorites as well. Get on there, do your research. Okay. The third is LinkedIn. Now, this is relatively new, right? So LinkedIn salary is a relatively new thing. It's kind of a similar deal in terms of pay scale where there's data that people have put into the system and they compile it and give you reports. I don't think it's as robust, but it's a good place you can start and try to see as well. Now, I will say for this, you need to have, if you have a free LinkedIn account, you're going to need to upload your specific salary data to get access to all the other information, all the data. If you have a premium account, you don't have to put in your data to get the data, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, but it's another place that you could go and kind of research as well. So let's say you did all three. Now you have a lot of data and you can match up and see, okay, now I know for sure this is definitely the range. And based on my experience, my credentials, my accomplishments, my value, I probably deserve somewhere at the high end, somewhere in the mid range, or whatnot. And then you also want to consider your living expenses and what you actually need to survive, right? So hopefully you all kind of have that number, but that will all of that, in addition to all of this, will contribute to your walk away number. A walk away number is so important because you'll get on that slippery slope and end up getting underpaid and wonder what happened because you didn't have a walk away number. I'm gonna pause. Do you have questions? I feel like it's a good place to pause for questions.
it's a good place to pause. Please drop questions. Stacy says, I have found that Glassdoor is not accurate and PayScale
Mhm.
and LinkedIn are somewhat close. Uh, Now, Oz, I'm not sure. Okay, they are building in the give back. Damn, I do that. Clarify that, Oz. I'm not sure what that meant. If you can clarify that quickly for us, and then in Facebook chat, let me see if I have anything. I don't have anything in the Facebook chat, and it
Okay.
might be me because I don't see any. I don't see any comments at all, and
Okay.
I just had some a few minutes ago, so that's me. Um, oh,
Mhm.
so concerning LinkedIn Premium,
Mhm.
is it worth the additional fee in your opinion to upgrade? This comes from James.
I say master the free first. That's my opinion. Master the free because there's workarounds and different ways you can really leverage LinkedIn for free. And then when you feel like, okay, I'm 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 good, I need more, then look into the premium. Some people don't even work the free version, they want premium and they don't even know what they're paying for. I found a lot of the clients that come to me and say that. I'm like, oh, you have premium? Have you found it useful? I really don't know what I'm getting. Okay. So master the free version first and then look into upgrading to a premium. Based on limitations or things you want to do or feel like you can't do, then you could say, okay, I think I need a premium.
And I have from Facebook, thank you, James. From Facebook, Rhonda says, you are so right. We have been programmed to have a certain mindset. We generally don't even think we're going to get an increase, so we don't go after it. Yes, particularly women, but thank you for reinforcing our rights and boosting our confidence. But of course, I will remember you must come with the value. Yeah, you must come with the value. Okay, that's what I have so far. Let me just check back in the chat and then we can go forward.
Okay.
Stacy says yes to LinkedIn Premium. I have been able to connect and network with several people I didn't have access to before.
There
You
you go.
probably mastered the free already, Stacy. I have Premium because of this group. Only, because I want to link with so many people and I don't want to have to go, I want to be able to contact people like Stacy. But if I was just out there as a job seeker, I probably would just have a regular account. And then is that Lois who says, do you ever use the government labor statistics in terms of trying
Salary.
to salaries?
Yeah, that's another good place.
Okay.
That's another good place, definitely. For that, I'm not a fan of that,
Because it's
but
lower, right?
it,
It's lower.
but it is. I don't know, something about it doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be another source for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rule it out.
Oh, okay. And now Oz has clarified that. So she says, I do that with clients. I lowball because I know that we will negotiate up to where my budget actually is. Yes. And I'll just add in as well with with the salary. So I always start when I'm offering somebody a salary, of course, lower than I want to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
And I I have experienced this so many times. So I'm just co-signing on what Melanie has said, where somebody is like an excellent candidate and I'm thinking they won't take the salary. Right. I make the offer and they say yes. And I'm like, she didn't even ask for more. And I'm like, well, I can't make you ask for more, but I'm like, seriously. And if it's somebody internal in the organization, I will usually say to the HR manager, hey, why don't you go talk to her? Like, why don't you go talk to him? And it always amazes me. Actually, the people who always ask me for the biggest pay increases or largest onboarded salary increase are people who don't come with the best value.
Wow.
They have a lot of confidence. They have a lot more
Interesting.
confidence than people who come with it, and that's just been my experience. But okay.
Interesting. That's so interesting. And that just goes to show it's not about anything besides confidence, which we're gonna talk about in a second.
Right.
But the thing is, once you have set up yourself like, okay, my resume is legit, I'm portraying my value. I apply, they want me. Cool. I get in there. I have researched, I have the data to back it up. I have my stats. I have all my information. I know my walkaway number. This is so important because, I asked my client one time, what's your walkaway number? And they were like, what is that? And I'm like, there has to be a number where you will not work for that amount of money because you can't survive. You'll get evicted, right? There's a certain level that you need to bring in the door to sustain your life. And if you can't get that number, you're probably going to need some additional sources of income, right? So get a second job, get a part-time job, get a gig job, right? Uber Eats, whatever. But you need to know what your number is to survive and do the things you need to do. So based on the data you find and your credentials and value and the number you need to live, it all needs to match. It all needs to match. And once you have all this information, baby, your confidence is going to be through the roof because you're going to know and be willing
I
to
love
walk
it.
away. Yes? Oh,
I said I love it.
okay. A good negotiator is always willing to walk away. That's the part because once you're not willing to walk away, you're too attached and you're going to be like, and you're going to lose the negotiation. You need to be willing to walk away. And so having your walk away number, I had a client and she was making, she was basically overpaid at her company. And she got let go, she left, whatever. And she knew that she was not going to get that much in the next role, right? So she was making like 200K with bonuses and all this stuff. And I said, well, what's your walkaway number going to be? And we had to work through that. And I was like, come back with your walkaway number. It took her several weeks, not several, maybe 2 or 3 weeks to come back and finally give me a number. Her walkaway number was 150. All right, cool. So if they offer you 149,999, you have to walk away for that dollar. You cannot be fuzzy with the walkaway number because then you get on the slippery slope, and next thing you know, you're making 120. Like, how did I get here? Because you just needed a job and you were desperate, da 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 da, right? You have to be confident to know one, you're worth it, you've done your research, and two, that there are other opportunities out there, that this is not the end all be all. Right now, it could seem like opportunities are slim pickings, but in reality, new opportunities are emerging as a result of this pandemic. And if you're not able to pivot, you could miss out on opportunities, right? So if you feel like you're on a sinking ship, you don't know what to do, you have to know there's still opportunities, maybe not in this area, but what can I do to shift and get where the opportunities are? Okay. Having that confidence and knowing no matter what, I have skills, I have education, I have XYZ, someone is going to hire me for my walkaway number. You have to know that without a doubt. Once you start doubting that, the negotiations are going to be like beating your butt. So the confidence piece is so, so important. Be willing to walk away and show up confidently and talk confidently. You can't be like, okay, so I was thinking maybe perhaps you could maybe give me like extra, 5,000. What do you think about that? Is that you cannot talk like that. They're not going to take you seriously. They're going to laugh you off the negotiation table. Come firm, come confident, come empowered because you have everything you need to strongly negotiate. Because guess what? The first one to say the number loses negotiations. So your goal is to get them to say their number first.
Uh, can we cover a couple questions? And then
Yeah.
this is the piece I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
badly.
Okay.
So, artist says, is there a certain number or percentage that we should use as a gauge when negotiating the first offer?
Well, if you have your walkaway number, then you know where you need to get them to be, right? So let's say your walkaway number is 50,000 and they offer you 45. You can't say, well, I want 50. You gotta say, I need 55.
Yep.
to give yourself wiggle room, which is another slide coming. But again, that that question is based out of, I don't know what I'm, where I'm at and what the numbers are. Because if you're saying based on what they say, then I have this much gauge, that's not really the right place to the right way to think about it. Because if they're offering you a certain amount and your walk away number is way up here, you're probably not going to get it if it's too far off. So, did you really do your research? Because then they're going to say, well, if you're thinking, well, I got like 20% range here, it's a misalignment. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say?
Artists, it makes sense to me, but artists, can you give some feedback on that one
Did that make,
as
was
we,
that helpful?
yeah, go to the next question, and I'll wait for your feedback to come in. So I love this, what James said.
Mm-hmm.
James says confidence plus knowing and proving your value equals getting paid your worth.
Yes,
Yes. And Shanika, I hope I'm saying your name right, Shanika. So the walkaway number means that you will not go below X dollars. She just wanted to clarify that.
correct.
Correct. Okay, so
So your
artist,
walk away, sorry, real quick, your
go
walk
ahead.
away number is not your ideal number. Could be two different things, right? Ideally, you want 70, you're aiming for 70, but if they lowball you, you're willing to go as low as this number, just to clarify.
And on Facebook, this is funny. Okay, so yes, we have to remember that there are many opportunities being created because of this pandemic as well. Then 200K, mercy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
Uh,
clientele, they're up there.
this is might be the career coach we all need. You ever thought about teaching nonprofit founders how to go find some how to go negotiate with foundations? No, I'm just playing. Okay. Would the premium LinkedIn be more appropriate for people who are on a higher level as far as degrees or CEOs, etc.?
Okay. That doesn't matter
Okay.
as it
All
relates
right.
to the premium.
Okay. All right. I don't. Let me just check back into the Zoom real quick, and then no, we don't have. Oh. Wait, I have something else in the Zoom.
Mhm.
Okay. So it says, yes, that makes sense. So artist that he says that makes sense to establish your walkaway number and then move forward. And he
Yeah.
says, thank you.
Yes. Okay, you're welcome. And remember, again, I want to clarify your walkaway number is not the goal number. It's two kind of different things. The goal number can be way higher than the walkaway number. The walkaway number is just, okay, I'm willing to take this, but you really are aiming for something higher. Okay, so yeah, the first one to say a number loses. And so when you get into an interview, sometimes one of the first questions is, well, what are your salary expectations? And you're like, well, what do I what do I say? Because I don't know what y'all willing to pay. And if I say something might be too low or it might be too high, that means you did your research. You shouldn't be intimidated by that question. You should be ready for it. But you don't want to give it first. Now, you give it, you lost, but you're gonna give something that aligns and makes sense, right? So here's the thing. One way to answer that is if they ask you first before they even start the interview, you can rebuttal and turn it back around and say, well, it's negotiable, but if you don't mind, I'd like to learn more about the role and see if it's a good fit before discussing salary. And let them see what they say. You will get some people that say, well, we need to know before we even start because you may be, and then it's like, all right, well, my range is blah, blah, blah. Always give a range. Okay. And a range can be, I like 50, depending on, right? So another quick story. I had another client, way on the other end of the spectrum, guys, not making 200K, but she was making like $15 an hour. And she was a medical, what do you call them? She was in the medical field. And so she was making $15 and she had got fired and she was like, got this interview. So I coached her what to say because she got fired. And then she was like, I got got the job. I'm like, all right, cool. So she was like, what do I say? Because I know they're going to give me like $16, but I want 18. So I said, you're going to ask for 20, right? And so she said, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to ask for 20. So she did. She asked for 20. And they were like, nah, that's too high because now you're going to be out. Um, you're going to be making more than people that's been here tenured. So, you know, can't give you 20. But we could do $17.80, like 20 cents short of her goal, right?
Mhm.
And so that's just another example, real quick, that I thought about. I wanted to share. So anyway, um, that's one thing you could say. Another thing you could say, I'm sure we can come up with an agreement on salary, but at this point in the process, I like to focus on the role and see if it's a good fit before discussing compensation. Just another way to say, nah, tell me your number first. Basically, right? Or to delay. Because what you don't want to do, right, is in the beginning of the interview say, this is my range. And then you have nothing to back it up yet. When you get to that point, you want to say your number and then say, well, as we discussed, well, as I show or demonstrate, or as remember the story I told about how that could be applicable to you guys as well. And so you have those accolades, um, stories to tell that will justify, and we'll talk about that as well, before, right? Because the person still doesn't know you yet, and you haven't had the conversation to even see, what the role entails, and what they're expecting of you, and if you even want to work there, and so I don't think it's fair to necessarily do that to people, but sometimes that is what it is. So try your best to get them to say the number first. And the thing is, with the 200K person, she says this and they bite. No, she says this next one. I'm sorry. This is the one she said. I'm sure you compensate your talent fairly based on the current market, but may I ask, what's the salary range allocated for this role? So now you're asking them, what is your number? Don't ask me mine. What is your number? Right? She did this, and she said it worked like a charm every time.
Love
So
it.
there are ways to flip it around so you don't have to expose your number first. You will get some people to comply and play ball with you and say, all right, well, we're looking at this. And some people will push back and be like, well, no, really, what are you looking for? And you have to decide if you're gonna, keep playing and keep pushing or give the number. At some point, somebody's got to give the number, right? Now, I said
Melanie,
this.
can I ask you, so this, before you move on, just because this is a hot one here,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to we are having a discussion on a post about this right now
Uh-huh.
in the group.
Mhm.
Okay. So before this live started, someone emailed me, I'm not going to say who, and they said, what is the best way to answer or approach the application? What is the
Mhm.
desired salary expectation?
The
Right?
okay.
Oh, yeah. So I don't, yeah.
The
What is
application
the application
application is
question?
different.
Yeah,
Application is
which is
different
different from the
from
negotiation.
talking
Yeah.
negotiating.
Yeah, you're
The
talking negotiation.
application, you have to put a number.
You have to put a number.
You have to put a number in the application.
And how do you do that?
You do your
Use the
research.
same with the research. Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. 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 All right. So so our whole thread, guys, is talking about the interview negotiation. We're all wrong. Melanie is the like, because we're talking about what you're talking about right now, and now I see you're right. This person says application question, right? We haven't been answering it in the thread for application question. We've been answering it as at the negotiation table.
Right.
Yeah, so
Because
we've been providing the wrong answer, guys. All right,
you're so
I'm gonna
silly.
mute myself. Oh, we have another couple questions, and then
Okay.
I'll mute myself. Okay, so Lois, I believe that Melanie answered your question. How do you avoid answering questions about the desired number or saying a number first? But if you need more clarification, please let us know. Um, that then it says, my brother said he always negotiates his salary, and when he is asked questions about his desired salary, he says, I prefer to hear the range that you are offering for the position first. What do you
Good.
think about that?
Love
And
it.
that comes from Lois again. Thank you, Lois.
That's another great way to say it. Yep.
Yeah, I let me go to Facebook. So I don't want to interrupt you again. Let me just, you guys know I need a tech crew, right? Uh, all right. So, um, what market is hot in high demand now? Oh, so I'm assuming they want to know what industries you see right now in your from your perch are in high demand.
Tech, um, healthcare, logistics. Um, those are the main ones that pop up for me right now. Um,
What about real estate?
I don't know about real estate. I
Okay.
haven't had many real estate clients and stuff,
All
but I
right.
know that the rates are really low right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had Luke Hill where he is in his side of the world, Houston. He's seen a lot of real estate development. That's why I asked that question.
Well, there's
It's a
definitely so real estate. They did not stop in
mm-hmm.
they're still building. They
Yeah,
never so they didn't. But I don't know if they're necessarily booming, but they just didn't stop.
they didn't
That's
stop.
that's my perspective.
Okay. All
Um,
right. Okay, so I'm not, and then Brandy says, yes, I do that too. I go how to start. Kevin says, thank you, thank you. Okay. I didn't hear the answer regarding LinkedIn Premium. I'll tell you, you have to catch that one on the replay, okay, Rhonda? Uh, all right. I'm leaving it. Go ahead. I'm you can go ahead. I'm gonna try not to interrupt you
it's
again.
okay.
How to avoid, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to stop it.
Okay, so I mentioned this already. Give yourself wiggle room. You can't, if you want 70, you can't ask for 70. You got to ask for 80 and hopefully, negotiate down to the 70 that you want. Um, that's pretty much it. And give yourself a range. And I like, depending on, the level and where you're at. So, like, hourly thing, for example, that's why I brought up the girl. The hourly range is going to be dollars, right? So, I was hoping for another $3, $4 more, etc. The salary range is going to be broader. So, I like 15K range. So, if you're saying, I want 60, then you're going to say, I was thinking anywhere between 50 and 65 or something like that, so that there's still a lot of wiggle room. 15,000 is a decent wiggle room. I would even say give a $20,000 wiggle room. But that comes off way too broad to me, depending. So if we're talking about that 200K girl, 20K is not that big of a range, right? So I was thinking between, 140 and 160. That, so it just really depends on the level of the numbers in terms of the range. Hopefully that was helpful. So when you're leveraging and you're giving reasons and justifying why you deserve these things, you need to lead with things of value, right? So maybe you have a degree, some certifications under your belt. So now you have that specialty. You have the extra knowledge that's going to be valuable, that will translate into value for the organization. Maybe you have a stellar background with your past performance. So that's the resume showing your successes and quantifying your metrics and achievements, etc. Recommendations are another thing. Hey, I come highly recommended. The vice president of sales over here said this about me. And so that to me speaks to my ability to come in and help you grow your sales as well. I think that's worth X dollars, right? Having a game plan. Woo, this is next level right here. Because, and I've done this for a few clients where we prepare a 30, 60, 90-day plan, both to level up internally and to get hired in the job. So when you're doing this, you're already working. You're like already in that position. And you're saying to them, hey, I'm going to hit the ground running. Here's what I'm going to do. Bam, here's the plan. You're going to pay me for this or what? Right? So having a game plan and really like giving them, this is what I plan on doing. And I have so much vision for this role. Here are the things that I'm willing and ready and able to do for you. That's powerful as well. So having these type of things to justify why you deserve more money is going to be important. What you're not going to do is talk about your personal responsibilities. So the girl that was in the medical field, she was like gonna say, "Oh, I have kids and I have to put them in daycare, so I need more money." No, ma'am. No, they don't care about that. That's not their problem, and that's not going to help them say, "Yeah, let's pay her more because she got kids." No, it's not about that at all. It's about, again, what you're going to do in that role, that value. Your current salary is also not necessarily a good place, to a good thing to use when you're negotiating, because one company and the other company, like, they don't really necessarily mean that you deserve something close to your old salary. Like the guy that got the 50K increase, he was in medical sales and he was making about 50. If they would have said, "Well, you're making 50 now, so we're gonna give you 60," right? That's not a good measure. You need to really isolate this position, this company, this industry, my skills, and this is what it's worth, not comparing to what you used to work, where you used to work, or what you used to make. And it's illegal. I forget how many states now. It's illegal in several states to even ask this question, like, what are you making now in your current role? As especially as a way to determine what you should be paid. That's not fair. Do not bring it up. And like, for example, the girl that was making 200K, she knew she was being overpaid. She was being overpaid at her company. So if they would have said, "Oh, you make 200, we can't afford you," right? That's not fair, because she knew she was being overpaid and she was willing to bring it all the way back down to the 150. So don't use your current salary. I would kind of stay away from that. Don't use your passion. "Oh my God, I love my job, and so I should get paid more." No, ma'am. We don't care about that either, right? Again, results, results, results. And then potential. This is more a lot along the lines with like college students, entry level folks who, "I just need a chance," but you want to get paid all this money. No, they're not going to pay you more money because you could potentially grow into this great salesperson or this great marketing person. Like, no, they want to know what you could do for us right now. Now, in the future, potentially you could come back and say, "Well, look at what I've done. I've grown so much over this time. Now I deserve more because look at the value that I'm creating for you now." So in that regard, yeah, but not to negotiate with, right? And when you are coming to the table for a raise in your current role, again, what are you bringing? "Well, I've done X, Y, and Z. I know the company inside and out. I have been here X amount of years." Those things are going to be valuable to them because you have that knowledge already. So the training is probably going to be less than if they hire outside. Those type of things are things that you could, say. And so what I usually tell my clients is make a list. Make a list of every single thing you have to offer, and not fluffy stuff, real things. "I generated 50K. I saved 30K on that project. I led this team to do XYZ. I turned around morale. I helped the department to streamline some processes." Those things are going to be things to help you justify value. Okay. So now you got the job. Wait a minute. Like we said, I will never take the first offer. So now when they say, "Bam, this is what we're giving you," how do you rebuttal? Okay. And this goes for both raises at work and accepting a new job. Three parts: thanks, ask, justify. Okay. So it's very simple. Don't overthink this. People get like, "Okay, so that's what they said. How do I say I want more?" Right? That part is like, okay, I don't want to come off greedy, or I don't want to, say it wrong and all this. Thanks, ask, justify. So here's some things you could say for the thanks. Start with the thanks because you want to show gratitude, you want to show excitement that you even got an offer, right? Thanks so much for that offer. I'm so grateful for your offer. I appreciate your offer. I'm so excited to come on board, right? That's the tone you want to set for your response. Okay. And this is both written, because sometimes offers come via email. Sometimes offer comes, in person. Sometimes offers come over the phone, etc. Either way, you gotta be ready. Have to be ready for this. So I recommend taking snippets from each of these three parts, putting it together, and adding your value to come up with how you're going to rebut this offer. Okay. So that's the thing. Some quick ways you can say thank you. Transition smoothly into the ask. This is the hardest part. So I was wondering, is that number flexible at all, or is this negotiable at all? Hey, I would be on board if, state your term, similarly situated employees are. That's great for the people that want raises at work because basically you're saying other people in the department or other people that work in the same kind of work, do the same work that I do, are making. And this is a big one because companies don't want you to discuss your salaries together. But if you come and you say, I know Billy's making X amount, you're not going to say Billy's name, but you're going to say people in similar roles are making, around 50K mark. And then my favorite, based on my research, okay, and then the justification is the value. With my ability to come in and blank, run your organization or grow your sales, whatever. Given my track record of generating new leads for, blah, blah, blah. I'm certain my talents will help you what? Value. I'm eager to start what? Implementing whatever value, right? So I'm going to do a quick one and just piece three random ones together to kind of show you the flow of what I mean here. So thanks. I am so grateful for your offer. Now, I would be on board if I could get X amount of dollars. Given my track record of bringing in more sales, executing projects quickly and on time, um, I would be happy to accept X amount of dollars. Can I see how this flows a little bit? That didn't come off real smooth, but you see what I'm saying? You see what I mean? You got the three parts and you plug in the numbers and you plug in the value. Was that helpful?
That was very helpful. Let me go to a couple comments. One of my own, I'm going to tell you guys that I did a 30, 60, 90-day plan for a job that I ended up not taking. But I was offered the job. The job would have been about a $60,000 pay increase.
Wow.
And I ended up not taking it to take an opportunity to leave the country and work out of the country, which was a lower pay increase, but because you don't pay any taxes, I made more money. Yeah. And I got to live out of the country. But okay, so the 30, 60, 90-day plan for me is definitely a game changer. And I've actually used it to evaluate hiring a associate director to see like what would that person do in their first 30, 60, 90 days. And that is a game changer. So I love that one. Bill says absolutely in terms of the 30, 60, 90 day. I use them all the time when discussing and during the interview process. Keep them relevant to the specific company or role. Do not be too general. He is right. So a lot of times during the interview process for that 30, 60, 90 day, the interviewer tells you a challenge that they have. They tell you an objective, something that they want to do. We want to increase sales. We want to move into new markets. We failed an audit. They tell you a problem that they have. So when you go to the second and third interview stage and you have a 30, 60, 90-day plan that speaks to some of those things that they told you they have challenges with, you are so ahead of the game. Yep. So I agree with Bill. And then so I'm sorry. Lois says, yes, did you save the company money, resources, or time? Yes, I agree. Those are things to bring out. Okay, so Bill says thanks. He had to jump off, but he's going to catch the recording, and then I'm just going to go to Facebook really quickly. So yeah, no, you never take the first offer. 60K increase, Mercy. Yeah, it happens. Okay, that's all I have. Okay, I just got a lot of people saying they're gonna catch the replay because they want to catch everything. Okay, I'm gonna let you go ahead.
Now, one other quick thing I want to throw in here as a quick added bonus tip. When you first start the interview, if you can, squeeze in a question before they start. So maybe, as soon as you sit down or while you're walking with them, etc. Try your best. See if you can squeeze it in and just ask them, I'm so excited to be here. Can you tell me like what was it about my application that made you invite me for the interview today? Something along those lines, because they will tell you exactly why they want you. Oh my goodness, I was so impressed by this. Remember that and use it at the negotiation table because you're gonna give them what they want already. They already told you why they wanted you. And so that's another little tidbit as well that you could probably help that will help as well. All right. So the last thing I want to mention is the fact that it's not just about salary. There's so many other things on the table, people. The medical assistant, she got the $17.80, and they cover her childcare expenses. Yep. So don't think it's all about just the paycheck and the salary. There's so many other perks. I don't even know how many of these are, but there's several here that you can ask for, negotiate, right? Your severance package if you were to, they were to downgrade, maybe a car allowance, profit sharing, job, your job title can be negotiated. Health insurance, of course. Maybe you want to negotiate flexible working hours. Maybe you need relocation expenses. Maybe you want a sign on bonus. Maybe a performance bonus. Like there's so many things that can be discussed and negotiated. And so don't think it's just about the salary. There's other things that can be worked into the deal as well to get you on board. Okay. So that was pretty much it. If you have any other questions, I know we've been asking questions throughout. Please feel free to throw them at me now. But hopefully, this was helpful and insightful and empowering because that's what I set out to do. And thank you for listening and being here.
Okay, so yes, this was empowering. Yes, and insightful and very helpful. This was great. Thanks to you both, and that's from James. Let me just go through this. All right, so Stacy has said I was in a discussion like this a few weeks ago, and the recruiter kept pushing for what salary. Oh gosh, I'm getting so many comments. Sorry, that just pushed everything down. Oh, they're coming in now. All right. I'm sorry, Stacey. I'm just gonna find that. Um, okay. I was in a discussion like this a few weeks ago, and the recruiter kept pushing for what salary I was looking for insistently. Okay. I try not to be rude, but the truth is that Black women have been underpaid since the beginning of time, and I really want to say that. How do I get this across without being rude? I love it. Let me hear this.
Well, you're not gonna say it when they ask for salary. You're going to say it at the point where you feel like that's what's happening. So without them actually doing it, I think it's unfair for you to say that if they're not doing it to you, if that makes sense. So if they're asking you, hey, what's your salary? What's your salary? You stay strong and you say, well, I want to hear more about the role first. Well, I would love to know your budget first, etc. And then if they give you the number and it's lowballed, then you can maybe voice some concerns about, but you have to have the data, right? Because accusing people of, well, you only give me that because I'm Black. Are they, or did you do your research and you know what the numbers are and you know that that's lowball? In that case, yes, but you got to have the proof. Hey, well, based on my research, this role in this industry and this company, etc., pays around this mark. So how come you're all offering me this much, right? So challenge them in that way where it's professional and you have real data to back up your claims of being lowball versus just being emotional and angry Black women and all of that. You want to be strong and not just accuse people of doing things without really exposing them. If that hopefully that makes sense.
I love it. Fantastic webinar. I believe that came from Stacy too. Shanika says, great job, Melanie. Yes, great job, Melanie.
Thank you.
Let me just say that in the additional things outside of salary that I have, like while I was on my job, I got a pretty sizable raise and I wanted more. And so I knew they weren't going to give me more money. So I asked for more housing allowance. Now, of course, this is working outside of the U.S., so I was receiving $2,000 a month as a housing allowance to pay for my rent. And so I said, okay, they gave me a $13,000 pay raise. I still wanted more. So I asked for a $2,500 housing allowance to go with that raise, you know? So they were willing to give it to me because if someone asked my salary, it wouldn't look so bad to the other directors that,
Right.
we were a nonprofit, so our salaries are public, so it wouldn't look so bad that I got more money, because it would be in my housing allowance. Others in my position asked for more money to send their children to private schools. I didn't have children. The things that you can get. People ask for a larger car. We got cars. I needed a car. I didn't need an SUV. Some other people asked for SUVs. So there are other things that you can negotiate. So I have a question here. This one is from Duran. Duran, this really isn't a question for this webinar. This is for another one, but I'll give it to Melanie. Can you ask her to clarify when you need a CV versus a resume? This one, I will say, you can talk on it if you'd like, Mel. We covered this one in one of the other, in the CV writing seminar last week and in the resume writing seminar. But if you want to say anything about that, do you have clients who are using CVs, Melanie?
Yeah, every once in a while I do get CVs. So the difference is really the resume is just for usually, jobs in the corporate world. CVs are typically more for folks in healthcare and education in those type of fields where they really want you need to highlight more about your education and your specialty areas and your research papers and your patents and like all those type of things. So
we also have just because that question came up, and I will say, Duran, we can talk offline, or I can direct you to the other resources. But a lot of business owners and business owners who have consultancies can use a CV, especially if they're doing things like, okay, I run a business, I founded a nonprofit, I published in 4 journals, I published on, this, I'm running a podcast, I also have blog. And so they're doing so many different things. I got a grant to do research, and these are things that people are paying you for, they're monetized, or you're adding value to a process, an organization, that you can put on a CV, especially if you get like fellowships and grant money. Those things can go on a CV for someone who's, I guess, a social entrepreneur, I might want to say. So it's not just for academics and people in research, but other people. A lot of consultants use them as well. So, but we can talk about it offline. I'm sorry, that gets off topic. Anything else anybody want to drop for salary negotiation? That's the topic tonight. Anything anybody else want to ask? Any questions? If not, I'm gonna go to my 3 hot questions for Melanie. Stick around because these are the hot ones. Okay. She says, I'm asking because I want to hire Melanie. All right. Well, okay. So let me just tell everybody right now. So this is how this goes. If you're on Facebook, I'm going to drop all of Melanie's contact information, and you can contact her. She's also in our group, in our Facebook group. But I will drop all of her information for you to contact her off of Facebook, right? Because this is professional. You can contact her either on LinkedIn or on her website. If you're in this webinar, you're going to get all that information emailed out to you within 24 hours. It just comes automatically through Zoom. Okay, so I encourage everyone on this webinar or in the Facebook, or if somebody shared this with you or in a watch party, to connect with Melanie, right, on LinkedIn. Let her know if this brought value to you. She deals with, so yeah, she has a client. She had that client that had a $200K salary, but she also said that she had a client who was making $15 an hour and wanted to make 18. So she's across the board. All right. So don't think that, oh, I'm nowhere near 200K, I can't tap her. You can. She's not just a resume writer, she is a career coach. Okay, so she can coach you, she can help you to chart your future course, right? Not just for today, not just for next year, but she can work with you ongoing. Okay, so that's that with Melanie. Now, this has been brought to you by Corona Daze Professional Development Group. Do not forget that. Okay, we have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to our channel. All of these presentations are on our YouTube channel. Okay, you can play them at your leisure. You can share them with your friends and your colleagues. If you are not in our group, join our group, okay? Because we have so many presenters, we have so many career coaches in the group who are willing to help you. As Melanie said when she started out, this is what she does. This is not her side hustle. It may have been, some years ago, but she turned this into a very lucrative business. Okay, she didn't tell you about her personal life. She is married, she has children, and she lives a very nice life off of this business. Okay, so this is her business. And I want us all to know that what she's doing for us tonight is she's taking from her business and giving us something for free that she sells to people. Okay, and I want you all to connect with her and thank her for that. I will provide the YouTube channel. It's called Corona Daze PD. So we are Corona Daze Professional Development. I will drop it in the Zoom before we end, Adrian. Okay, so my 3 questions. All right, so don't worry, it's not so bad. It's not so bad at all. Actually, it's good. All right. So thank you again, Melanie. I really appreciate you. I know it's late. You have children.
Yeah, they're still up downstairs bopping around.
Sure they are. I'm gonna make this really quick for you, okay? So CDPD's mission is to increase marginalized groups' access to employment opportunities and representation in the workforce by providing our members with free training, mentorship, and other resources. CDPD in response to record unemployment and underemployment rates stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. My question to you, Melanie, is have you ever been marginalized? And I clarify this in saying you don't marginalize yourself, okay? Mm-hmm. Somebody, some system, something. Have you ever been marginalized? And if so, can you tell us how?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is I get quoted in different outlets a lot. And I was approached by a journalist about getting quoted in Women's Day magazine. I was so excited, like Women's Day, what? Yes, in there. I gave him a quote, and it was like, I can't wait. And then she was like, okay, it's gonna be in this issue, so I'm like, all right, boom. So I try to find it. I'll go to Women's Day. I try to find the issue. I scroll. I did that issue, searched. I did the issue before, like, I'm not in there, searched. I did the issue afterwards, like, I didn't go all these magazines. I'm not in none of these. I don't see my face in any of these. I don't see a quote in any of these. I do see an article about career stuff. So I went back to her and I said, I'm not in Women's Day. And she said, what do you mean? I submitted your information. I'm not in there. And she went and she looked and she was like, wow, I did not submit these people. I submitted 3 people, 2 were women of color, and they did not publish the women of color. She was livid, and I was hurt and disappointed. And I looked back and I was like, yeah, this is definitely a white woman's magazine. And my little brown face, I didn't make the cut. So that happened.
Thank you for sharing that, Melanie. I asked that question to the presenter we have, no matter what they look like. I asked the question because, again, our mission is to serve people from marginalized groups. And I want people to know that no matter how you're marginalized, whether it is something very visible, you're a woman, you're brown, you're Asian, you're Latinx, like those things that people know by looking at you, or you have a hidden disability, or you a sexual orientation. Sometimes it's thought, right? We had a white woman in the group, a white Jewish woman, Annie Lieb, said she was marginalized in the workplace because they didn't let her talk, right?
Yeah.
And yet also you say this beautiful white woman, right? She shouldn't be ever be marginalized. We had a white male on a recruiter say he was marginalized when he came out of the military. Nice looking white man. There's nothing, looking at him, you would think he's of privilege. So I asked the question so that we know in this group that even if you have been marginalized, and again, we don't marginalize ourselves, small people marginalize us, okay? People we intimidate just by being us, marginalize us, that even though we are marginalized, we can still have successful businesses, right? We still can go on and do great things. And I think that asking that question helps to encourage our members. So thank you for answering that. And I know that was a difficult situation, hurtful situation to share. Our next question is a little lighter. I want to know how old you are. Okay. I don't want to know how old you are.
Oh, okay.
All right. Oh, it's on my head. Sorry, gosh. I don't want to know how old you are, but if you were to go back and think early on your career journey, very early in, what would you tell Melanie before she had her children, before she was married, when she was embarking on her career that you know now? What would you tell her?
I would tell her to trust the journey and be more patient.
Trust the journey and be more patient. I love it.
Yeah, because I'm very impatient. Um, I've been doing this since what, oh 09. It'll be 11 years next month. And in the beginning, I'm like, when am I gonna blow up? Where am I gonna blow up? Well, and I'm still here striving to blow up.
No, you're
But
great.
but all the things that I learned was all a setup for me to be great. You know what I mean? Because I think right now I've reached a point where I feel good, not because of the business, but because of the membership that I created for new and upcoming writers. They are so amazing, and I'm able to pour into them. And
Yes.
without the journey and trusting the process and being patient and just doing, I wouldn't be able to give them the knowledge I have.
I love it.
That's why.
And our final question is, what do you want to leave us with tonight? So if there's one thing you want us to know about either your journey or this or salary negotiation, what is the one thing you want us to walk away with if it was only one thing?
Just be empowered. Don't settle. Be empowered. And really, what I mean is like, get the knowledge, stand up for yourself in career, in life, in relationships, whatever. Be empowered because when you belittle yourself or you think small or you play small, you're not showing up as your full self.
Mm.
And so being empowered, you literally have the power to make things happen. So you have full control over what happens, how your life pans out. But if you don't take on the power and make it happen, you will continue to be disempowered.
Mm.
And again, that's not who you were meant to be.
That's right.
So
Wow. Thank you, Melanie. Thank you, everyone, for this staying on this webinar tonight. I just want to say to everyone one more thing about Melanie. So I started this group on February, that's my birthday, that's why I keep saying February, on April 28th. And the first person I spoke to outside of my network about this group was Miss Melanie Denny. And I got on a call with her and I was so excited. I bumped my gums for 12 minutes before I let her even say anything. Okay. I was like, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this. And this. She said, I want to do salary negotiation. Okay. She said it that in that call. And she said, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm holding this LinkedIn series and I invite members to my LinkedIn series. Okay. So even though she's not the first person I hosted on a Zoom, she's the first person to host CDPD on her platform. Okay. So all of our original members, you remember that every Tuesday in the month of May, remember I spoke to her around April 28th. Okay. Around when I founded the group. Every Tuesday at 12 noon in the month of May, she turned on her screen. You never saw her face.
Nope.
She clicked through her screen and she showed us what to do with our LinkedIn pages. And I would still have that blue black splash on mine if she didn't say you need to change that. Okay. I had about 449 contacts when I connected with Melanie, and she didn't say, oh, this is nobody. She doesn't even have 500 contacts. She engaged with me. She spoke with me. She believed in me. And I thank you for that. I don't want to get emotional. Y'all know I was crying on Sunday. I don't want to be crying on here every week. But I thank you, Melanie. Like it took us a couple months before you can do this, but you said this was what you wanted to do for us. You did it, and I have such great comments coming through here. This was awesome. Thank you for your time. So much useful information presented. But look at you now, and this is in response to that Women's Day Met Be fiasco.
Yeah.
Wow, they did not submit women of color. I mean, like, you are amazing. I have people on here saying they want to hire you right now, Melanie. And I just thank you for, just
Yeah.
giving me your time, because if you didn't, I probably wouldn't be here doing this right now. Okay. So
Thank
thank
you.
you all for joining us. Thank you, Melanie. Thank your husband and children for being patient with me,
Right.
and
Yeah.
have a good night.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all you do as well. Thank
All
you.
right, then. Okay. Bye bye.
Mhm.